I'm already recording right now, by the way.
Maybe I am too. Huh? You ever think about that? Huh?
Oh shit. Oh shit.
It's like that Spider-Man meme. Welcome back to Half Past Goon. The date is March 23rd, 2023 as of recording. And I'm feeling a little rambunctious today.
Really?
For all our YouTube listeners, you could see Thomas actually did my hair today.
Yep, new haircut for Steven. We're all trying to be really nice to him. So nobody say anything mean.
If I get a single hate comment,
He's shaving the whole thing.
next week it's going to be an AI generated picture of me instead.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Really tapping into the future.
Yeah, the prompt's going to be average white boy with brown hair. And it will be spot on.
And you gotta introduce us.
Oh my god, how could I forget introducing my beautiful hosts? On my left here is Thomas Murdoch.
That's me.
Forgettable. And on the right, much more memorable, Joey Piccarello.
I'm not going to argue with that. I think that might be factual.
Wow.
I mean, I think I just forgot this week because Thomas always comes first, and it just slips the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah? You agree?
Yeah.
No, what it is he stole my haircut and now he's trying to be the diva of the group.
So this week has been a little crazy. This week has it's been really fun for me. Anything interesting happen in your guys' lives? I don't want to overshadow you as I normally do.
No, I think you've got the most interesting week for sure, Steven. I would say.
So being, an avid supporter and true believer in what is right, justice, Constitution, right? I believe in law and order, right?
Really?
Yeah. I think it's really important. And I think that, like outside my house, I have one of those, I support the local police signs.
Really?
Because they need support in these trying times. They don't get enough overtime or anything these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being this avid supporter, when my president, Donald J. Trump,
thank you for clarifying. I was confused for a second.
went on Truth Social and said that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday, and he needed all of his the strongest warriors, the true fighters for this country to take back the nation. I damn well went down. I listened. I went down to that. I went down to that damn courthouse and I took as many funny videos I could of the crazy fucking people there.
Did you really let them have it? Did you shake your fists?
I was shaking my fist. I was screaming left and right. Old ladies pushed into the street. I won't deny it. That was me.
I actually heard reports of old ladies getting pushed into the street.
There was a lot. There was more than one old lady there.
Wow. Did you meet anybody special?
I met some really, really special people.
Did you connect?
I didn't connect. I didn't do any, networking while I was there. Yeah. I didn't hand out the Half Past Goon business card to anyone.
I'm sure they would have loved this podcast.
They would absolutely adore it.
Oh yeah.
There were, from the time I was there, I was there on Tuesday outside the courthouse that was supposed to indict Trump. Right. There was actually only two prominent figures, Trump supporters. Throughout the day, there was more. I saw some stories about some really crazy people. But overall, I think I saw the two out of the three funniest. So while I was there, and you could find this all on our Twitter, we were shit posting about it.
Cut to some footage right now.
I wish. Yeah, on the YouTube video, we might cut to some footage here. First, when I got there, about 5 minutes after, there was a guy in the suit with the horns. Like from January 6th, the insurrection, there was a very prominent guy who's now arrested wearing like a fursuit almost. Like, I don't even know how to describe
Like
that.
a cape?
There was a cape. There was a Trump flag as a cape, but he was wearing, like, I don't know. Everyone knows that guy that sat in Congress wearing the horns, right? And
The
looked
real
down.
one?
It wasn't the
real
real one. It wasn't the real one.
It was just a phony.
It was a absolute phony. So this guy, dressed up, giant horns and everything, face painted, is going around talking like a Trump supporter. It's obvious to, actual people who are not Trump supporters that he's like poking fun at them. But then he would go around and there'd be actual supporters and they'd be like right behind him. Like, yeah, oh, this guy fucks.
So was the crowd, was it big or not as big as you were expecting?
No. There was approximately a 5-to-1, actually way more. There was like a 10-to-1 reporter to actual protester ratio.
Wow.
There was no protesters there.
No respect for a former president.
No respect.
See, not enough warriors like me. So there was like cameras everywhere. There was like audio technicians, people holding cameras, actual reporters, right? Giant setups everywhere. And then there's like 5 Trump supporters and like 10 liberal protesters. And they're not even protesting. They're just standing there. Right?
They just wanted to see the money shot.
Yeah. And for most of the time I was there, all the reporters were flocking around this guy I was talking about with the horns. Right? They were in love with him. Probably because he was the only interesting thing there. Right? So he's going around, he's doing fun stuff, right? He's talking about how they're stealing the babies. They're stealing the babies for the blood. Right. They're drinking the blood of babies.
Yeah, they are.
They are. He's not wrong. But then the highlight is, well, first off, there's this actual Trump supporter here, like masked up, can't see his face, and he's going around like, yeah, like Trump is right or whatever. So this guy,
Trump is right about.
Trump is right, Thomas. Don't question it.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So he finds the horn guy.
Oh, they meet up.
And at first he thinks he's a Trump supporter. He thinks horn guy is a Trump supporter. Right? But then at some point, he says something and he looks at him like, hey, yo, what you say? What'd you say? Wait, you're one of them?
Oh.
I think he actually said that at one point.
It's a betrayal.
And then he's going around to all the other Trumpies like, he's not one of us. He ain't one of us. He's a faker. It is. It is being kicked out from the group of law and order enthusiasts.
It's always the ones you least expect.
Seen it happen too many times.
So that guy's drawn a lot of attention. At one point, and you can find this on our Twitter, he has this giant bicycle with a super high seat that is pink and fluffy that he's riding around the streets shouting stuff. At that point, I knew Trump wasn't getting arrested.
Yeah.
With warriors like that there, with the cavalry there, Trump's
There's
not
no
gonna
way
win.
they're breaking through that line of defense.
No way. Absolutely no way.
God, you love to see it.
So that was the first guy, right? But then, arguably, much funnier guy shows up because this guy's real. He's the real fucking deal.
Are they taking shifts?
Honestly, they might. This is all planned. So this guy flew up from Florida. Like, I should have asked him. I should have asked him if he was there on January 6th.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Were you close enough to like
touch him?
He didn't snitch on himself like that.
He might have. No, I was right there. There was no people there, Thomas. Like, you could just walk up to anyone. It wasn't even a crowd. It was just like, it was just people. So this
didn't cause a scene.
I honestly, I was thinking for future shit like this, we all need to get some like some really like standout-ish suits. Like I'm thinking like purple suits.
Mm-hmm.
We all have microphones and we like just gang bang a single person, like firing questions off from one of us.
On the field journalism. I'm down to do some.
No, like matching matching purple suits, like going up to a guy all at the same time, just shooting off 3 questions at once, just
Mhm.
gangbanging him.
They won't be able to cope.
They won't. But this guy, he's like a larger, kind of short, guy, and you could tell like he's
From Florida.
he's from Florida.
Yeah.
You could tell he's from Florida, and not even because of the fact he's literally wearing an American flag jacket.
Mm.
Right? First thing he says is,
Is it hot?
"I just flew up from Florida. Plane came in today." Right? And immediately he's getting interviews. Like he's getting actual interviews. Probably didn't air, but like reporters are coming up to him asking him questions. And he's
No,
just
it was a slow news day. They may have had to air it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're asking him like random ass questions, and he's just spouting just random shit about Trump, like the normal talking points. Like
Yeah.
like about how we're sending all this money to Ukraine.
Oh, he's one of them.
And then we're sending all this money to Ukraine. And then he points up on this building right next to us that has like scaffolding. He's like, that should be done.
Yeah.
That building?
That
should be
he's got
done.
some points. He's got some
I'm
points.
from Florida, but I know what should be done around here.
If we didn't send money to Ukraine, that would be done. Completed. But the best part of it all, this guy that just flew up from Florida is wearing like designer shoes.
He looked good.
I need this guy's designer. He's wearing designer shoes, right? A fucking Coach bag. I couldn't tell if it was Coach or Gucci. We need to go back and check. I think it was a Coach bag,
It's a Coach bag, I think.
right?
Yeah.
And then he's wearing this American flag jacket and then some fucking like Ray-Ban sunglasses.
He looked like a patriot, you know?
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it.
You got to tip your cap to Patriots like that.
Yeah. He heard the news first thing, hopped on a flight. I'm sure, you know, his family at home were sad to see him go, but like when your president calls on you to answer to these tyrants, you have to be willing to go on a plane for 4 hours and travel to New York City to get on the news.
You go.
Yeah.
You go.
You go.
That was the common
yes,
theme,
you
though.
do.
What?
I said, you go. You go, yes, you do.
That was the common theme, though. Like, all of these people were looking for attention.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing having the fake Trump supporter, like, looking for all this attention. He's an actual comedian, right? He does stuff like this. But then it's another thing when, like, you have these actual Trump supporters just looking for these interviews.
You know, Stephen, maybe they just want friends. They just want like-minded individuals to hang out with because they're lonely.
You say that ironically, but it is wholeheartedly the truth in some situations.
Did you see people exchanging information and maybe like talking about like a little group get together?
I'm so glad you brought that up, Thomas.
Yeah.
This patriot, this Florida man,
Mm-hmm.
ended up talking to this kid. He looked like he was like 17, like 18, 19, whatever. Like casual. Like he looked like he just came up from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He did. He started talking to this Florida guy and he's like, yeah. Or the Florida guy mentioned where he was in Florida. And this kid comes up to him and he's like, I'm from there too. I was just there this weekend. I don't, but actually he must have been like 17 or something because he said he went to the high school down there where he was. And Florida guy was like, yeah, that's real.
It's cool.
That's real. So this guy was like, I'm going to be at this club this weekend. See you there.
Nice.
And he wrote it down. He like wrote down the address and everything. And he was like, all right, I'll see you there.
We got to figure out where the Trump people are staying in town while this whole Trump drama is going on. Because I bet that's where the party is.
I would pay to be in that party.
If we have any viewers that are really in tune with the New York underground club scene and they know where all the Trumpies are going, please DM us and tell us because we want to go.
Yeah.
What a fun nightclub that would be. God. So this guy's like networking with the Trump guy. I want to know if he meets up with him this weekend at the club.
I bet they meet up.
So
Big
weird.
cities, small world, you know?
So weird. But this is all because of a larger story. The actual reason he's being arrested is, I'm sure a lot of people remember this being in the news cycle when he was first president and running for president even. But our beloved and very wonderful actor, she's been in the scene forever. I remember being in high school, in middle school, and seeing her work. That's the hand over his face. Adult film star Stormy Daniels was paid off. Allegedly.
Whoa,
I was
allegedly.
getting there.
Oh,
Allegedly.
no, she was paid off. That's not alleged.
Yeah.
Hey. Whoa. Whose side are you on?
You're guilty or innocent until proven guilty, Joe.
No, this is literally a fact.
Allegedly,
make sure that that's out there.
$30,000 changed hands. Allegedly. What was it for? We don't know. We don't know.
No legal
Was
fees.
it campaign funds? We don't know. We don't know. But
we don't know if it was campaign funds. That's true.
That's the allegedly part?
That's the allegedly part. But we know that she received a payment from Michael Cohen, who pled guilty to this already.
Yeah.
We know that it was $130,000, and we know that Trump reimbursed him.
Well, that, it's really nice of him.
But we don't know if it was campaign funds.
I see. Well,
or maybe we do. Do we know? I don't think we know it's campaign funds.
I thought it was, but I'm not sure either.
I think it's allegedly campaign funds.
That is what would make it illegal.
I think it's illegal either way.
Yeah. So this is going against Trump because he paid off this porn star through his lawyer, right?
Which he denies, by the way. He still denies it.
He denies that it was because of a sexual act, trying to cover it up.
Yeah, I think he denies the affair still, right?
Yeah, he denies the affair. Right. But he doesn't deny the covering up. Or he blames Stormy Daniels. He blames Michael Cohen for everything. He says it was his idea to cover it up. It was his money. I never reimbursed him.
Those $130,000 illegal fees were for something else. I spent. So this has become a big news story because Trump tweeted out that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday, leading to the calls for protest, which, as we just talked about, didn't really happen. But it's become an even bigger story because Republicans in the House are using their newfound majority to demand testimony from the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, who has become a new prominent name in the media. And they're seeking to kind of look into the investigation, which is unprecedented.
Yeah, well, I think what they want to do is they want to call him in front of a committee, obviously, ask him why Trump is being punished, but Hunter Biden isn't. That's kind of their angle is like, they're not saying that Trump didn't do anything wrong. They're saying more, why is Trump not allowed to do things wrong when everybody else is doing things wrong?
Which is valid. No, man, that's valid. Like, why does the guy we like have to be prosecuted for his crimes? There's a lot of other people out there with crimes.
His actions. What's up with that? I thought this was America.
So generally, this is seen as an attempt to kind of influence the way that the grand jury investigation is going.
It's an intimidation tactic,
right? But it's just, there's no precedent into why this is being investigated, right? It's really marrying other acts that the House has been using now with their newfound majority, just investigating before they have a reason why.
Yeah. Looking for a reason to investigate during the investigation.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's about threats, isn't it? It's about threatening the legal career and the political career of Alvin Bragg. It's about trying to get under his skin and, stop him from going after the big boy.
But it is interesting to note that he's the first. I mean, this is an old case, right? This is 2016. We knew about this during the election. This is not new. no New York DA has ever decided that this is something that they wanted to prosecute. But Alvin all of a sudden thinks he's got and we still don't know. He hasn't been indicted yet, so we still don't know what evidence he has. But
Right.
Alvin thinks he's got this in the bag. So I trust him.
I also trust him, but there are doubts from nonpartisan legal experts that kind of question whether there is even a case against Trump for this.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's funny that that we know that a crime happened. There's evidence of the crime, and we still can't get the criminal to pay for those. Not even like a little punishment. He's just allowed to skate for like 6 years.
Not even a perp walk.
Not even anything.
It's pretty ridiculous, though, when you think about it, that somebody else went to jail for this exact crime.
Yeah.
Somebody went to jail, served their time already for this crime, and we're questioning whether or not Donald Trump is in trouble for the crime that he was a part of.
It was ridiculous because that was brought up time and time again during his presidency. Like,
and he still won. He still won.
Wait, what?
The first election, not the second. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. But like, I remember Cohen was literally sent to jail for this during his presidency.
Yes.
It's so bizarre that I know it was a big story, but how it just wasn't career ending.
Trump has got this aura of like invincibility where he can just do the wrong thing constantly, and his supporters, who are supposed to be like Christian, like conservatives, they just turn a blind eye for no reason, just because they like him. I guess I really don't know what their stance is on Trump paying a porn star off.
I want to do this. I want to do kisses. Kisses with Trump.
It's really weird how he's been able to maintain this like crazy base that he has, while also like completely going against everything that they say that they believe.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a politician quite like Trump been able to. I mean, Trump famously said, "I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and I could get away with it, and I wouldn't lose it. I wouldn't lose it." I believe him. I honestly believe him. I think he would win the Republican nomination if he shot somebody in the street of Fifth Avenue.
And I think it's interesting. Like, this is like a kind of a side point, but the more news about Trump doing crimes and getting like almost arrested, maybe we'll see. But like, the more news there is about it, the better he seems to perform. It's like his supporters want the government to go after him so that they can like rush to his defense, regardless of whether he's innocent or not.
Yeah. I think that there's something to Republicans and their victim complex that they have.
Yeah, they really do have a big victim complex.
I think that when they see one of their own finally getting attacked, not finally, but he's Trump's the most persecuted man in America.
Most persecuted man in America. It's a damn shame.
It's a damn shame. But the more they see that, the more they want to like. They just like owning the libs, and they like knowing that your lib prosecutor, your George Soros funded prosecutor is going after Donald Trump, so that means that he's owning them actually.
Yeah.
It's
really weird. I don't get the dynamic at all, but it's been working for him. If I'm Trump, I might just start doing crimes on purpose.
Well, he has been.
He basically has been.
Doing like more, but he's still denying them. Like, why deny it at this point? Say,
I think that's
I did those crimes.
The point.
Why is it a crime?
He's doing it and denying it, and that's what's making it popular. Because then it seems like they're going out to get him.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I honestly believe that Trump supporters know that he's committing these crimes too. They just think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think they're too stupid to realize that Donald Trump is actually guilty of these crimes. They just don't care.
I
Yes,
think
I
a
agree.
lot of them are, Joe. I think a lot of them really do
I
think he's
think it's a
innocent.
split. I think it's a split. Some of them genuinely believe he's being politically prosecuted, but then half of them, their defense is always, well, that's not a crime. That's no.
What about Hunter Biden?
Yeah, what about the laptop? Huh? Yeah,
Right.
I saw Hunter Biden's pee. I saw those pictures. What about the laptop? Right?
And we're not talking enough about it.
No, genuinely, their excuse, I feel like from a lot of them are it isn't warranted. It's not actually a crime, or it's politically motivated.
Right.
Right?
It's like the fact that the government is going after what they believe are their political rivals in Trump is the government's political rival. It's like they think that they're just trying to ruin, or they're just trying to arrest the field so that there's nobody to compete against. But they won't look at Trump and say, wait a minute, is there a reason that he might be doing it, like he might be getting prosecuted for all these crimes, or is it just that they don't want any competition and they want to just steamroll elections?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he said he was going to be arrested on Tuesday. As we all know, it is not now Tuesday.
Thursday.
As for this recording, it's Thursday, and the grand jury actually hasn't met today or Wednesday, I believe.
Right. I think they're scheduled to meet on Monday.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of speculation in the background about whether this last witness kind of swayed the jury, whether the other investigation into the documents at Mar-a-Lago are kind of causing this case to be pushed back. We're kind of out of the loop about what's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
How many rounds of golf you think Trump gets in before he gets indicted?
How many more?
He's going to be playing golf in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I really want to know why the previous prosecutor did not pursue this case against Trump.
I'm also very curious about that.
I think it all comes down to the case relies on Michael Cohen's testimony, and he's not a very trustworthy guy. Clearly, he's a criminal. But if that's what your case is built around, you're not likely to win, especially when you're indicting a former president of the United States. Like that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
So,
but they must have corroborating evidence. Like this money came and went from somewhere. Like this isn't cash that they're handing over. Probably there is evidence from where this money came from and what.
It's a lot of money. You'd think like you'd be able to track that much money.
Well, there's a picture of Michael Cohen has a picture of a check from Donald Trump.
No way.
Yeah, this is like the number one piece of evidence. He showed this in the House committee 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I don't remember how many years ago it is now.
Please tell me the memo is like for that porn star.
I don't know what the memo said, but the picture is literally like a check made of $40,000. It's one of the like 3 or 4 checks that he got that was made out to Michael Cohen to reimburse him, and it's signed by Donald Trump. Like it's like the most incriminating evidence you could possibly get.
Good Lord Almighty!
But it's 7 years old. I mean, what's changed? Do you think there might be? I mean, obviously, there's like political motivations behind the prosecution. I'm not here to deny that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, that's what's happening. They don't want him to run again. They think it's easier to beat Ron DeSantis than it is to beat Trump, which I agree. But why now? Like, what's changed?
I think that I would honestly say that I don't think that that's factored into the calculus. I think that Alvin Bragg is purely thinking about his own sort of. If you're gonna think about something like if you're gonna accuse the prosecutor of being self-motivated, I think that there's ample enough evidence that he's like a political actor. So like if he prosecutes the president and he goes after the president and he gets this big fish, then he's surely to be elected next time.
Yeah.
But or maybe even he'll run for attorney. Like he'll be the attorney general of New York State, or he'll want to do something else like big like that. But I don't know. I'm not. Also, we could talk about whether or not it's easier to beat DeSantis or beat Trump. point I would like to contest.
But that's a theory for next time.
But if it was like landing this huge fish guarantees you winning your next whatever 3 elections, whatever you want to go for, you're basically a political superstar after you get Trump. Why not the previous? Why haven't the previous
Didn't have the
Manhattan
balls.
DAs? They don't have the balls.
They don't have the
I feel like it's
balls.
got to be more complicated. That like if they could, they would have
I
already.
think it probably has to do with the fact that they would have been the first people to prosecute. I think it was first off, what was his name? Joyce Vance, the previous prosecutor, I think was his name. He was retiring, so I think he probably didn't want this to be on his plate before he
Yeah.
retired. I'm too old for this. Probably one of those
Right.
one of those cases. But I think that does probably have to do with it. I think that maybe he just wanted to hand the decision off to somebody else. I mean, a lot of people did like pass on this case, so it is worth wondering why Alvin Bragg is deciding to bring it up at this point. I think it probably made more sense for him. It would have taken the heat off him a little bit if he waited for one of these other prosecutions that Donald Trump's going through to drop, like whether that be like the documents case
Give
or
him
like
double
the election subversion case in Georgia, or like the fraud case that's also going on in New York.
Right. I feel like the Georgia one is probably the most like criminal. I mean, they're all criminal,
Yeah,
but like
no, easily.
the worst one. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's probably the most certain to be indicted for that one. Even more certain than him being indicted for this one.
Right.
And we know that he's about to be indicted for this one,
I
basically.
think it's just a case of somebody had to be first, so it's get your less heavy hitters out of the way before maybe the
That probably is I could be convinced that that's the case.
I would agree that would make more sense to get the smaller cases out first than the big ones.
Because that Georgia case is, I mean, that one's damning. That phone call that he's calling the
perfect phone call.
Right.
There was nothing wrong with that phone call. He was a
Where he's
dear
like
friend.
basically threatening him to overturn the election, like not even like giving him like an easy out, just saying like, hey, you know this was stolen from you, right? So change it, thank you.
What's the quote? I need 30,000 votes. He's like, I just need 30,000
No,
votes.
it was like exact. It was exact. I just need 30,412 votes.
Yes.
Like, I know you know where they are. Just go get them.
Yeah.
All right. So shifting over from Trump, we could talk about him all day, as we always do. We have a much more interesting, really on the national plate. Once again, I heard it being talked about at the gas station while I was filling up my F-150, is the Wisconsin Supreme Court election.
Ooh.
Real on, like, I promise you it's not just Joe that's thinking about this.
It's an important election.
It's an important election, guys.
It's really important. It's gonna decide the fate of a lot of stuff, guys. I'm serious.
I promise,
serious
guys.
this time.
I promise. No, I agree. It is important. And it has a lot of themes that resonate throughout the country, especially the gerrymandering aspect that goes into it, which we'll talk about in a minute. So the Wisconsin Supreme Court race is between two prominent members right now. Liberal Janet Protasiewicz. Shit.
Protasiewicz.
We're just gonna call her Janet.
Janet. We're first name
Judge
basis.
Janet. She calls herself Judge Janet.
Judge Janet. JJ for short. You know, we're close like that. So JJ and conservative, like we're moving from one really cool name to like the most basic white name.
Yeah.
Daniel Kelly. Daniel Kelly from Wisconsin.
Ooh.
And it could impact the future of laws for not only election laws, but for abortion rights and a lot of other issues that go up in Wisconsin.
Right. Well, so the Wisconsin Supreme Court right now, the current court is a 4-3 conservative majority. This election for the Supreme Court between these two judges, it's important to remember these aren't politicians. Well, they are, but like they're judges. This is gonna shift the balance on whether it's a conservative majority or a liberal majority in the state of Wisconsin. So this is This is big time, and in a big like swing state like Wisconsin, it's not. This isn't like an Arkansas Supreme Court race. This is more big time than that.
So give us some history on Wisconsin, Joe, because I know you're talking about the Supreme Court case and just the overall climate in Wisconsin due to the gerrymandering and everything.
What's the temperature on the floor of Wisconsin like these days, Joe? Really tap into those brains for us.
Well, I've been, and I'll tell you, it's hot today. It's a real hot button issue that's going on. So there's a couple key things to keep in mind about the Wisconsin Supreme Court case, Supreme Court election. Is first off, they have this super archaic abortion ban that has been in place since 1849. Obviously, it wasn't in place when Roe was the law of the land, but now that Dobbs overturned Roe, now that ban that was in place in 1849, before most of the people in America were even guaranteed citizenship,
right?
There was an abortion ban.
It was one of those trigger laws, right?
Yeah, one of those trigger bans, exactly. That was just part of the state constitution, sort of forgotten about forever, and brought back up now because the state Supreme Court is likely to enforce that ban, if they were given the chance, especially since they're a 4-3 conservative court at the moment. But as well as that, Wisconsin has the most gerrymandered maps in the entire country. It is horrific. Supreme Court state elections in the assembly are generally 50-50 in that state because it's a swing state, it's a purple state. But state seats are usually about like 60-70 to like 20-30. It's like ridiculous how overwhelming the gerrymander is in Wisconsin. Judge Janet promised in interviews to both go with her values on abortion, which basically means she's a liberal justice. We all know that it's a wink and a nod towards overturning that law, as well as she said that she's a fan of fair maps, which basically also means that she's a fan of reviewing the Wisconsin state gerrymander and overturning that, and that would be humongous. As well as there's one more big thing, if I can. In 2020, Wisconsin was this close to basically overturning its own election. It was a 4-3 decision. One of the conservatives decided to side with the liberals.
Wow.
But there was a Trump case that made it all the way up to the Supreme Court that asked it to throw out like tens of thousands of ballots across from Madison to Milwaukee and all the big cities. Big cities tend to be liberal cities. And it would have completely overturned the election. It would have sent 11 electors towards Trump. That it wouldn't have overturned the national election, but it would have been a huge step in the wrong direction. Wow. And Judge Janet promised that if there was a future case, that she would rule against any sort of overturning of the election. So that's big.
I didn't know it was that close.
Yeah, it was very close. That's why this is a big election, guys.
It's a big election. And
it's important that everybody stays tapped in. It's also a bellwether on national politics. It's the only big election that's coming up in 2023. So it's important to sort of tap into how liberal or how conservative these voters are feeling in a swing state.
Did you guys get your illegal mail-in ballots for Wisconsin already? Or? I've already sent mine in.
Thomas, you're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud.
Oh, are we live?
We're live, Thomas.
Damn it.
But this election is breaking records left and right because this is actually the biggest election in terms of advertising, which it feels so weird for a Supreme Court election to hear that there's advertising for it. $30 million that could have been used on that building that the Florida Trump supporter was pointing at in New York. Was spent on just advertisements, television advertising alone, setting a record for statewide judicial contests. And this court, it plays significant roles in the future presidency, as Joe was saying, too. Because if it does lean Republican, if Daniel Kelly does get elected, then we might not get that same outcome that we got for this previous election, which is really, really scary, especially after finding out how incredibly close that was.
And it's also a funny thing. I don't know. You guys remember when Trump was getting those Brett Kavanaugh and his justices into the Supreme Court, and when they were explicitly asked whether they would overturn Roe, they gave these like half like not
Roe was a super precedent.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I wouldn't know, like, oh, I can't possibly give my opinion on that at this time. Even though we all like the quiet part is they wanted to overturn Roe. They did it. We saw that happen. But they wouldn't say it because they're judges and they need to remain impartial or whatever. So what I appreciate about this election is that neither of the candidates will actually, they won't say what they mean or what they want to do, but it's just supposed to be implied. I think a really like one of my favorite quotes from this election was from Dan Kelly when Judge Janet accused him of wanting to uphold the abortion ban. He said, "You don't know what I'm thinking about the abortion ban. You have no idea. These things you do not know."
Janet cannot see into Dan's head. Dan is a complex person.
Right.
You don't
shift the question to whether or not Dan Kelly supports the abortion ban to whether or not Judge Janet can read Dan Kelly's mind. And I think that's what we need to actually be focusing on.
That's the big question. Can Janet read minds?
Because if she can read Dan Kelly's mind, I think she should probably get the nod for the election. Just like I'm gonna put that out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's more than fair. We need more people like that in our government.
It's a fun election, and you know here at Half Past Goon we've got a special relationship with the state of Wisconsin.
Oh. Why is that, Thomas?
Okay. It's time for me to take my time to do some campaigning here. While I'm not a judge, you can still vote for me in this election if you live in Wisconsin. You just have to write where it says either Janet or Dan Kelly. Just write my name, cross both those out, and just pencil my name in on top.
Oh, and consider this.
Yeah, and if enough of you do that, I can be on the Supreme Court. That's the law.
What would be your first judgment from the Supreme Court? If you got to pick any case and decide, what would be your first judgment?
Well, first of all, I think that we need to start, as Wisconsin, we need to start sending more money to New York City construction companies. Because clearly that's not getting done, and
that should be done.
Wrong with it. It's got to get done.
That should be done.
It should be done.
Hilarious. So
that would be my first order of business. But yeah, as everybody knows, I'm currently a congressman in Wisconsin. They did steal the election from me. It was illegal. We are still contesting. I haven't admitted defeat. I won that election, right? But
in Wisconsin?
Yeah, but Wisconsin's 32nd. Yeah. It's all over the place. You can look me up.
Okay, I'll look it up. Don't worry.
Yeah, you can donate too. You can donate.
You have an act red?
Yeah, just like
red?
Me.
Okay, yeah, I'll just Venmo you. I can just do that.
I'll put it into the campaign fund. So even though technically I should be a congressman in Wisconsin right now, since I didn't win the election, I'm still allowed to be up for election in this judge. This is a special election that they're doing. So make sure to vote for me, please. And yeah, I'll throw it back to you guys if you guys have anything to add.
You heard it here first, folks. Send both your legal and illegal ballots in for Thomas Murdoch
Please.
for Wyoming
We
Supreme
need them.
Court. Wyoming, Wisconsin. Do them both. Why not?
Yeah. Wyoming needs you more, I think.
With that, sadly, that is all the stories we have today.
Some good ones today.
God. Who even cares about Wisconsin? Joe, why'd you put this up?
You do not know what I'm thinking about that abortion ban.
You do not know. With that, hopefully next week we may be talking about a Trump indictment.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, please.
We may see him perp walk down the fucking down the street into a New York court.
Do you think they'll cuff him? What do you guys think? Do you think they'll cuff him?
He wants to be cuffed. He will be cuffed.
Yeah, but
I believe he'll be cuffed.
No, I don't believe he'll be cuffed.
Really?
Did he
don't?
say he said he wanted to be cuffed?
He said he wanted to be cuffed behind his back.
Yeah.
Behind his back.
Kinky.
It is kinky.
He
But
was debating whether or not he should wink at the camera, he said.
Yeah, I should be smiling, right? But we'll find that out next week.
I think the fact that he tweeted about it and tried to get ahead of it means that he probably will be indicted.
Truth about it, actually.
Truth about it.
It was a true thing.
I'm sorry. That's my bad.
And if that does happen, you goddamn know well I will be there with my Florida friend, looking up.
We'll be on the ground, getting first-person accounts of the crowd.
Yes, make sure to check out our Twitter. We were posting all about it this Tuesday. Just high-quality posts. You don't get that anywhere else.
Nowhere else.
God. So with that, check out our social media. Thank you for listening or watching, and we will see you all next week.
Smash that subscribe button.